Welcome to another episode on our channel. You've seen these two guys before. This is from the Winter Soldier set that came out in 2014. So it was a duo pack. It had Steve Rogers dressed as a civilian and then Steve Rogers as Captain America with the Winter Soldier outfit. At the time, I passed on getting them, but I saw them not too long ago, I don't know, year and a half or so ago, and decided to get them. Steve Rogers is perfect. The articulation is great. He can be posed in any number of ways. I was always baffled when I looked at the Winter Soldier in pictures that were circulating on the internet. He always had his arms way out, kind of like King Kong, and I couldn't understand why people didn't take some time to pose him nicer. And then I read somewhere that somebody had cut the sleeves so that they could get the gloves on. I just thought to myself, no. If you have enough hot water, you should get those hands on just fine. And then I got the set, and then I realized what was going on. So the arms were padded. I mean, they didn't need padding, but they were padded, so much so that you couldn't relax the arms. They just, like, again, King Kong, you couldn't relax the arms. And the sleeves were too long and interfered with, no matter how much hot water you put on those hands, you couldn't get the hands on nice. So I basically decided I was just going to pose him one way, and it was going to be to his side with his head looking kind of forward or to the side. And this is how I would pose him, because then you wouldn't see the weird shape of the arms. And then I thought to myself more recently, do I really want to live with that? And I thought to myself, no, I don't want to live with that. So I dived in and decided I might ruin it, but I'd rather ruin it than not try. And so I carefully, with an X-Acto knife, took out the stitching around the sleeves and then pulled out all the padding that was in the arms. And given that it was 10 years old, the padding really looked bad. I mean, it wasn't quite moldy yet, but it was really deteriorating. So I'm glad I got the padding out. So I took the padding out, and then I don't sew well. If I have to, I will, but it's not my first choice. So I super glued the sleeves back, and it's not perfect, but it's perfect enough for me. And I think he came out pretty good. So if you have this guy and you don't like what you see, take a risk is all I can say, and see what happens. That's if you can't live with it the way it is. And I definitely couldn't live with it with the arms way out here. So we'll pause and get them both on a turn tray so you can see them from different angles. We are back, and we'll go around once for both of them so you can see them from different angles. Another thing I did with the Winter Soldier outfit is that his cargo pants, his pockets were sticking way out. So I actually super glued those in tight to his body too, so he wouldn't look like he had saddlebags on him. Yeah. Steve Rogers looks great. Very easy to pose. And I am definitely happy now with the padding gone. from the arms of the Winter Soldier figure. So, for me, it was worth the risk. For you, maybe you won't do it, and obviously, I wouldn't blame you if you didn't do it because it's, how it came, but I have to like what I see, and so, boom, took a risk. It paid off. It won't always pay off, but this time, for me anyway, it did pay off. So we'll pause now, get Steve Rogers off the turntable and focus on the Winter Soldier. We are back, and just so you know, if you do make some mistakes with the super glue, there are leather looking like straps here that you can kind of cover it with, so it can be very forgiving if you do make mistakes. But what I tend to do is I take a pin or a toothpick, put a little super glue on it, make a divot in where I want to get, and then get in there, rub it around, push it down. So I do my best not to get super glue on the exterior part of the outfit. Not perfect all the time, but that seems to work for me. But on the off chance that you do make mistakes, that strap there on both sides of the arm will be very forgiving with those mistakes. So let's go around and see him from different angles. He looks great now, I think. His pose is definitely more normal. I can bend him. But you really don't want to do a lot of bending if you super glue it. And sewing it is going to be a pain in the sense that the sleeve, without the padding, it doesn't fit as nicely back into the hole. So trying to sew it back in is going to be a little of a challenge, more of a challenge for me and my abilities. So I used super glue. So we'll pause now and get a tighter close-up of his face. This figure really has a great head sculpt, so I'm glad I took the risk that I did do. I'm very happy with the outcome. And now that he looks halfway normal, I'm really happy with the set. There he is. If you do not want to take a risk and take the padding out of the arms, this is exactly how I would pose him. At least then you don't see how quirky he looks, how King Kong he looks. He really does not look good. So this is how I would pose him if you didn't want to take the risk. Here's one last look at our two figures. I hope you've liked what you've seen. If you have, consider giving us a thumbs up and subscribing to our channel. In the meantime, everyone, please have a great day.